you know where I'm going next week to have a good discussion? Oh, it's going to be great. They invited me on the Olympia TV, but with Linda Murray and the women to discuss like how they judge women. I'm going on.
Oh boy.
I just interviewed Linda Murray.
Yeah, Linda, and there's I forget the other girl, the blonde girl. She's won the other Olympia a few times on that show. So they said, Lee, you'd be a great guest for this topic. I said, can I talk about that pose from the rear where they show their vagina and ass? She's like, oh, perfect. You'll be on. I said, well, might be your last show, but it'll be a good one.
I created Species Nutrition with one mission in mind: to provide bodybuilders and serious athletes with no-nonsense supplements that work. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
You're funny.
Like I said, do you like my tail?
Like I said.
And we are back for another installment of Iron Rage. I'm Dave Palumbo, joined as always by Lee Priest with some very strong political opinions I've noticed you've had lately. You're really getting into the whole, government election campaign thing. I noticed you've been supercharged on the news lately.
Just because it's so hypocritical of what they're doing to Trump when Biden's done worse, and this whole, he was like wanted to look into the counting and all this of the votes. Now that if they go to court, it's going to work out good for Trump because his lawyers can get all the evidence that he had the affidavits from all those people that see all the fraudulent stuff going on. But even when they're saying he caused the thing from denying the election results, there's videos of Hillary sitting on Oprah. I don't agree with these election results. He's a false president. Like they've all, it's like it's only Trump's the bad one when they've all done it. It's done worse. And let's not get into the Hunter Biden phone calls with his father and everything like this. And how many videos of him? I've never spoken to him. Now we've got the guy saying you're on phone calls with him. Oh, we only talked about the weather. Doesn't matter what you talked about. You spoke to them. Here you are. I've never spoken to them at all. I don't. My son's get millions of dollars and given me some, but I don't ask him. If your son was older, Dave, and he was bringing millions home and he says, Dad, here, you can have a couple of million. You wouldn't go, where did you get this from, son?
Yeah. Biden's got the greatest, like if they ever indicted Biden and put him on the stand, he could just say, I'm demented. I don't know what the fuck's going on. He'll get off in 2 seconds.
That card come out exactly. I bet that will come out straight away. They'll get a doctor in and say he's got some deficient capacity of the fucking brain and shit, and
Alzheimer's.
Remember.
Yeah. And they won't indict him until he's out of the presidency anyway. So he'll be like, I was demented. Well, he won't even say it because he'll have all the doctors say he's demented.
And then the whole shit too about when they're going after Hunter and all the TV people fancy going after the president's son. He's a normal citizen and this and that. Thinking, how many times did you go after fucking fucking Trump's son and shit? How many times was he in front of Congress? Fucking Trump's son-in-law was in front of Congress. It's like everyone is like, oh no, but we don't go after family. Fuck off.
No.
Oh, by the way, Dave, you said 3:30. It's now 4 p.m. where you are. I want you to know what? Dave, I want to tell you something.
Yeah.
If you ever come on the Jimmy and Lee show, we won't keep you waiting. We're like punctual, Dave. We're punctual.
Well, yeah. Jimmy's got Marine time, and you're like you're always early. So I mean,
he's Marine time, and I'm the drill sergeant. So I'm there early.
I always say, I'll tell you one thing about Lee Priest. You can say a lot of things about him, but this guy is the most punctual guy. I've never seen anyone stick to his schedule more than Lee Priest.
And then I get so annoyed when others don't.
I know you do. But you were talking. You wasted 15 minutes once I actually got on because you were talking that you wanted to talk about stuff, and I wanted to let me start the show.
You were
John Romano rules.
You're eating popcorn. You're eating popcorn because you're hungry. Yeah, don't try blame me.
I'm eating really this is really wimpy popcorn, skinny pop, right? I mean, you got to be a real fairy to eat skinny pop.
My favorite popcorn, it really is the kettle corn.
Yeah, you know what? I get nauseous if I eat the one that has too much that like lard in it. It just gets me. It turns my stomach. I could eat this stuff all day long because they don't add it. There's nothing bad in here. It's just pot. It's like.
Well, I'm like that sometimes if I go to the movies, and sometimes they must use a different oil or butter. If I have some of that afternoon, I got the worst stomach cramps and pains.
They use lard. I worked in the movie theater. They take lard and it's like a big glob, and they throw it into the popcorn maker, and then they melt it. And when it's melted, it looks like oil, but it's lard. And then they throw the popcorn kernels in there, and they fry it basically in the lard, which then the popcorn absorbs all the lard. And then they put butter and salt on top of that. Like you really
I love in America though when you got the actual stage and you see the people with the popcorn and they're pumping more butter on that liquid.
Oh,
well, it says butter. It looks like liquid chemicals.
It's not even butter. No, it's not butter, Lee. It's like it's artificial something or another. You know.
Yeah, and they're pumping it on.
Yep.
I'm like, oh. So Dave, I've got a question for you.
Yes.
I've got a question. What did you think of the pilot show of Jimmy and Lee?
I got to tell you, I watched 80% of it.
2 minutes.
And 80% of it, and I liked it. I thought it was good. I think you guys have a very good chemistry together.
Did you notice that people even commented that Jimmy didn't even get crazy or go off on it? Jimmy was
very calm. He was very professional, actually, on the show.
First time ever, John. Did you see that on the Jimmy and Lee show, John? That Jimmy didn't raise his voice once. It's like
I gave Lee. Sid did this the kind of his heart. He gave Lee and Jimmy a show for themselves to do, and they I don't think Jimmy cursed one time the whole show, did he?
No. People in the comments are like, "Is this Jimmy? He hasn't gone off once. He hasn't yelled, or it's like they're like, Lee, you must be calming for Jimmy."
Is he sick or is he okay?
I don't know. Anyway, we were just talking about.
You missed the first 10 minutes, John, where we were just saying I was having a laugh about this whole debacle about Biden and Joe's never spoken to any of them and this and that. Now these new stupid indictments where I said these new indictments could go in Trump's favor because now his lawyers can go get all this evidence and the people that gave affidavits about the voting machines and everything else. And then they're saying, but then he made false claims denying the election results. I said, there's videos of Hillary saying the exact same stuff when she lost. It's like,
thinking, Hillary is the benchmark by which we measure, all of these wrongdoings, So, it was if Hillary got off on everything that they've indicted Trump for.
Yeah, I know. Especially how many laptops and then the acid washed and smashed the phones and that. Oh, that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
I want to ask you guys a question. Did you see that story about the chef that worked for Barack Obama?
Yep.
In Martha's Vineyard, there they like found him drowned, outside his house, the waterways there.
Yep.
And Barack, they weren't even there. Do you think that sounds suspicious? I remember, didn't the Clintons have a chef that died too?
Are you kidding? The Clintons lost a whole household staff in 2 different houses. Well, he drowned in 8 feet of water.
And they said it was with somebody. They said,
no, but they tried. Yeah, they tried to say he couldn't swim, and then it came out. They showed a video on Instagram where he could not only could he swim, he could do like the breaststroke, the butterfly. I mean, the guy is like a world-class swimmer. He looks like
It's hard to swim when someone's got their foot on the back of your head, Dave. Let me tell you.
or an 80-pound weight around you.
Right. Well, look, throughout politics since probably the Nixon administration, various people have disappeared under, suspicious circumstances. And I don't think anybody, if you added them all up combined, doesn't equal the Clintons. How many, 130 people that they knew of have been found dead.
That many? I didn't know it was that many.
It's a ridiculous, insane number. It's like the number of Biden suspicious activity reports.
It's all broke up then and disappeared on me. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
If you want to see a funny video, if there's a funny
I think it's
video
you, because John sounds fine to me. I think it's you that's breaking up. It is.
Patrick David's Value Entertainment, the Patrick David Value Entertainment show a week or two ago. Did you see the one where he had Anthony
Weiner?
It's Lee.
Lee, it's you. Maybe log on and log off again, Lee.
Okay, I'll finish this. Well, Wiener, he brings up all the Clinton stuff, and Wiener loses his shit. I've never seen a guy go more psychotic in my life. It's like,
because Wiener's in with that. In with the Clintons. That's why.
I'll be back.
All right, you and Arnold.
Famous Arnold words.
Yeah.
So what did I miss?
Nothing. Lee has been like on this, like, I don't know why he's on this political like rampage lately, where he's become. I think Valentino has got him like all into the politics now. You know how like Valentino's like a typical like 65-year-old guy who all they do is sit and watch the news all day long. you remember it was more relevant like back in the day when TV was more relevant, but right. Valentino, for some reason, when men hit a certain age, all they do is sit and watch the news. I don't know what it is. Maybe because they're bored. You notice that? And they bitch and complain.
I think I'm speaking for Lee here as well. Is that this? I think the current situation in American politics has gotten so radically fucked up that it's like watching a giant car wreck with trucks and trains and airplanes all crashing into each other at the same time on a busy interstate. You can't not watch it. I mean, it's you got the president of the United States. There's a montage of videos. I'll just give you one example. Lee, you could probably give us 10 more. The montage of videos of President Biden saying, I never spoke with my son about his overseas business. Never spoke to him. I never spoke to him. I never spoke to him. Never. Now, not only does it look like he spoke to them, he was like in business with them. And the entire left is saying, oh, there's no proof. There's no proof. And then our side said, oh, what are you talking about? There's videos, there's audio, there's pictures, there's testimony, there's whistleblowers, there's witnesses. And the left is all saying, oh, nothing to see here, and the right is going nuts over this. And it's impossible not to watch at the level it's at because it is so insanely fucked up that you look at yourself in that situation and say, what would have happened to me if I had done what these guys have done? We're living in a country where everybody's supposed to be equal. So when you see that kind of inequity, and especially if you've been like us and in trouble with the law before, it's disheartening to see somebody getting a sweetheart deal when you had to go do time.
Let me ask you a question though.
Here's the thing, Dave, too. You say, why do we watch the news? You got Netflix, you got Prime, you got all these things. This is the best and unbelievable soap opera ever. Better than any show that any producer's ever done. It's like, I love Yellowstone, but I think this even Trump's used the word Trump.
Yeah.
Trump's Yellowstone.
Yeah.
This is like,
right.
This is fantastic.
This is definitely political theater.
Lee's running out of series to watch, so he figures he'll just watch the news. You're right though. The drama is unbelievable.
It's incredible, and you get a new piece every day. You had with that Devin Archer testified, and now we're at another level. Now you're going to get these other guys. Now there's going to be subpoenas and more. Bottom line,
you saw
John. Let me ask you a question.
You would have seen the timeline, John, wouldn't you? Where it's like Hunter, something happens to Hunter. Next day, Trump indicted. A month later, something with Hunter. Very next day, Trump subpoenaed.
John, wouldn't this be a better? Hold on. Wouldn't this be a better strategy for the Democrats? Wouldn't it be better if they said, you know what? Here's our excuse. We can get rid of this guy now. We don't have to kill him. We can actually get him out of here. We'll say, I can't believe what he did. You're right. Let's impeach this guy. Get him out of there. Put their other puppet in there, Harris, and then when the election comes up, they can put someone else in there to run for the next election cycle.
I believe you're on the right track there, Dave. What they're doing. This is why things get so much attention. Like the UFO testimony now. That's a big thing in Congress.
Yeah, I noticed
testifying about UFO. That's a shiny object over here in the corner that's designed to get your attention over there.
Right.
So you quit worrying about what's happening to the president,
Yep.
So what I think all this is going to culminate in is just exactly what you're thinking about is that they're looking for a way to get him out of there. The guy is obviously incompetent. He's fallen apart. He's a doddering he can't fucking remember where he is, where he's going, where to stand, where to step, who's telling him what to do, if he's got his diaper on or not. He doesn't know. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know if he's ever talked to his son. He doesn't know who his son is. He doesn't know who his granddaughter is. He doesn't know anything.
Right.
So they got to get rid of him. And I think what they're doing is they're fomenting a revolution in the voting hierarchy to give people an alternative by getting rid of him. And they have to, because he's never going to make it.
It would be a great idea.
Mark
if the Democrats clean themselves, if the Democrats cleaned up their own party, it would make it look like they actually cared.
They don't care.
No, I know they don't care, but if they would at least give that.
The Republicans don't care either. Neither of them care.
Of course not, but they would give the impression that, hey, you guys are right. We don't want this guy in there. This guy's bad news. We got to get rid of him, even though he's our president.
I got one question I want answered.
Yeah.
Military, satellites, military and order surveillance equipment, people with their iPhones. Why can't we get one clear fucking picture of a UFO? With all the cameras and phones we have today, everyone, if I go to 7-Eleven and steal a chocolate bar, they've got a clear image of my face on people, camera phones and everything. You can see a UFO, it's like blurry, fucking jumping around.
Didn't even say there are no UFOs, right?
It's like I'm looking through a window full of water.
It's funny, Lee, you just said that, because I just said the same thing to somebody else. I said, you've got since the 1930s, airplanes flying over everywhere, pictures. We've got telescopes in space now. You can tell if a fucking quarter is heads up or not from space on the ground in Florida. Okay, but there is not one, just like Lee said, one clear picture of a fucking, they're all blurry, they all got lines going through them and moving, and you can't see none of them are
one clear one. The one clear ones you do see, are fakes.
Right. The one, right. And here you got the fucking Air Force, the Navy, the top secret military shit.
Well, you've seen drones, you'll see a drone. You'll see a drone camera. You'll see a fighter pilot's camera when he's going to shoot down a plane. Crystal fucking clear. Now, the same camera sees a UFO, fucking blurry. Moving around.
that Tic Tac one
people forget
around, right? They tracked that thing for like 20 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me in 20 fucking minutes you couldn't break out the good camera, and get a shot of it? I mean, what the fuck?
Pilot could have pulled out his fucking 4K iPhone 14.
John, the guys in the space station up there. How did the UFO get past the guys in the space station there without them seeing it, right?
The space station, the telescopes. We have like 5 telescopes out there. We have satellites. We have rockets going up almost every week. Space.
I think all those UFO things are bullshit. I think they're just distracting us. Like you said,
there's a guy they interviewed, this doctor, somebody, I forgot, he got his name over there. He thinks, according to him, all this shit is real. That they're top secret, new technologies that we're working on. They're not perfected yet, and that they're so insanely advanced that they look like
they're UFOs. Yeah.
And everybody wants.
Remember when was it the B-52 and the Stealth, when they were first sighted? People didn't know what they were from the triangle shape. And
I would think the Stealth. Yeah, I would think the Stealth would be a UFO. Sure.
Donald Trump was in office for 4 fucking years. He's the guy who, it's shiny and cute. I want it. We can't take it home. Okay. Yeah. If there was a fucking alien sitting in a cell somewhere in a mountain in Idaho, don't you think he would have gone and said hello? He would have brought him home to Mar-a-Lago and played golf with him. If we had UFOs, if we had actual spaceships somewhere, Trump would have fucking blown that out of the water. So we do not.
Unless they didn't tell him. John.
Speaking of how bad Biden is, Dave, if you go to my Instagram, I put up a post. It only goes for 20 seconds, but it's the funniest thing ever. when Fetterman and Biden are at that microphone. It is like it's like every time I see it, I laugh because it is like. How would you describe that, John? I'm sure you've seen it, haven't you, John?
Yes, that's why I'm laughing so hard.
Lee, was it the last thing that you put up because they wrote false information?
You probably.
No, that was about climate change. That was about climate change. Now, the one you'll see Biden and Fetterman standing there. It's probably the fourth.
Yeah.
When you listen to that, if you can tell me what they're saying, Dave, I'll give you $1 million.
Yeah, really.
Hold on.
And someone's like, Lee, the guy had a stroke. I'm like, son.
Oh, you got no audio.
How come there's no audio on this thing?
Click on it.
Hold on, here it is.
This is a president that is committed to infrastructure. Yeah, and then on top of that, the dual kind of a law of the inflation bill that is going to make sure that there's going to be bridges all across America getting rebuilt. And now I'm standing next to the president again, next to a collapsed bridge here. And he is here to commit to work with the governor and the delegation to make sure that we get this fixed quick, fast as well, too. This is a president that is committed to infrastructure. Yeah, and then.
Is he retarded, this guy? What has he got? Like
But Biden understands him clearly. That's the problem.
Is in another world. Are you kidding me?
Biden knows exactly what he's saying.
No, they just told Biden to nod. That's all. Nod, Biden.
I think after that, Biden goes to talk, and it sounds worse than this. Someone's like, Lee, but he had a stroke. I said he had a stroke a long time ago, and then he sort of spoke okay, but now he's like digressed somehow. I'm like, imagine if that was he should be his vice president. That would be great. It's kind of sad. If that was your father, you'd feel like really bad for him. But this guy he's the president. I mean, when you get to a certain point and you can't execute your job, you should step down and resign. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, he should just say, look, I'm having cognitive ability, impairment, and I can't execute the office of president of the United States anymore. I'm stepping down. I'm resigning. I don't know. That would be the right thing to do. I'm sure John saw this one too. Hello,
I think
John,
the Democrats are too scared to have Kamala Harris to step in.
You ought to remember this one last week, when you, John. Hello, John and Dave.
What are you doing? Who are you imitating?
Mitch McConnell.
Mitch O'Connell.
John knows. Yeah, he had a grand mal seizure. It looked like,
or at least a petite mal. Yeah, some kind of seizure.
Hey, did you see Mark Zuckerberg? He's like on this like crazy high calorie diet now. He's eating McDonald's every day. He's on the Palumbo diet.
Before he was showing his lean physique before, wasn't he?
No, he stole my thing. He's pretending that he came up with the McDonald's diet.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I could have done that too.
I would have Rick Collins sue him.
I think I should. I think first of all, McDonald's should be sponsoring this show because I give them too many plugs. All right, Zuckerberg, dubbed the Zuck on the McDonald's app, responded. He says he eats 20 nuggets, quarter pounder, large fries, Oreo McFlurry, apple pie, and maybe some side cheeseburgers for later. I'm telling you, he snagged this from me. You can
go through my Instagram. There's probably 2 videos every week of me eating in McDonald's. I film when I'm eating there. I need sponsorship, but with Zuckerberg training and looking lean like he was, does he understand that looking that way and training is part of white supremacy? So we better be careful.
Not to mention the toxic masculinity.
According to the estimates on the McDonald's website, the haul of food that he's eating could add up to more than 3,000 calories, more than the double the adult recommended intake of 1,200 calories a day. What person that works out eats 1,200 calories? Are they high?
And here's the fucked up thing. Here's the fucked up thing. The guy's a multi-millionaire, and McDonald's, the pricks, will probably give him a sponsorship and give him more money.
Oh, they probably will. You're right.
Dave, I got to question you too, Dave. I watched you and Chris the other day about the USAs and that. Were you too high?
You didn't like the show. You didn't think the show was good, huh?
Mate, the lineups look like the worst USA lineup I've ever seen, and you and Chris are like,
you're out of
"Oh,
your
he's
mind.
great."
I don't agree with you.
Pull up the lineup and show John. Pull up the lineup and show John.
All right, hold on. Can I finish what I'm saying? Then I'll pull up the lineup. Elon Musk says that he openly said he eats a donut every day for breakfast.
Ooh.
And Berkshire Hathaway chairman Warren Buffett famously told Fortune magazine that he has a diet of a 6-year-old. I eat 2,700 calories a day. A quarter of that is Coca-Cola. I drink at least 5 12-ounce servings every single day.
Because Coca-Cola is in the Berkshire Hathaway fund. So is McDonald's.
How does he? It must preserve him or something like that. How did these guys live?
His partner, Charlie Munger's like 94.
I know these guys live forever. They must have access to medicine we don't have. The regular people don't have access.
A diet of a 6-year-old would be Cheetos and boogers, wouldn't it? What the fuck?
Right. Dave, you just took other words out of my mouth. Wow. I have always said this. They are giving these politicians something because look at how old all the former presidents lived to.
That's true.
They're all like almost 100. Reagan was 90-something. Carter I think he's still alive. He's like 117.
Yeah.
Right? Ford was 90-something. What was the last one? Reagan, Ford. You got Clinton Clinton's chasing 50-year-old women around now. He's young looking.
Isn't he demented too?
Clinton?
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, really?
I think he has Alzheimer's or something like that. Yeah. That's the only thing they can't cure yet. They can get these guys to live forever, but they can't cure them.
But they can't cure their minds. But man, they sure all live a long time.
Here's the funny thing, though. Did you notice all pretty much the shit presidents live to an old age? The good ones get assassinated.
Well, they kill the good ones. Yeah, exactly.
Or try to.
The good ones don't die of natural causes. The good ones get taken out.
Yeah.
Where's that picture now? Because
hold on,
I'm thinking back to the lineups of the USAs of Matarazzo, Wheeler, and all this. And
I'll tell you why that's not a good comparison. Because let me explain. Back then, it was very hard to turn pro. They only gave 1 pro card or 2 pro cards out a year. So the problem was that you had a backlog of guys that should have been pros that were still competing in the amateurs. So it wasn't really. Nowadays, people turn pro so quickly that they don't.
But they're not ready to turn pro. That's what I'm saying. They shouldn't be giving these many pro cards out because those guys are not ready to stand on a pro stage. Then they get their pro card and go, I'm going to take 3 years off. I'm going to take 3 years off till I'm ready.
But the lineup was good this year, so I don't agree with you. I'm going to pull it up. I'll pull it up. Let John break the tie here. John, you tell us.
I'm going to give you my piece about the 90s.
That's the super heavyweight lineup.
They look terrible.
They're not terrible.
Thank you.
There's not a crisp physique up there. What are you talking about?
Look at the legs on the one on the right. Did he skip leg day, or is he?
Well, he has some skimpy legs, but everyone else looks good.
We all got a film of water on them. You know what the problem is? We are so conditioned now to thinking that's unbelievable that we forgot how unbelievable was.
But John, you know that the top 5 at the Nationals were usually guys that all have been there for 3, 4, 5 years because they can't get the pro card.
Good. That's what we want.
But what I'm saying is those shows were really a reflection of guys that it was really the Nationals and USA were like pro shows. They were like B-level pro shows because the guys were so good. Yeah.
But
that's why. That's why. If you want to ask me, if you held back the guys from the last 5 years from turning pro and you put them in the in an amateur show, you'd be like, wow, what a great amateur show. Look at these guys. You got Nick Walker, you got this guy and that guy. Holy shit. That's what you'd be looking at. You'd be looking at all the guy who just won.
Did you notice when the guys did turn pro back then, if like Cormier won or somebody won, they went straight to a pro show. Take the winner of that and put him in a pro show.
No, make them do the universe again.
But like I said, if you take the champions from the last 5 years and what they look like today and you put them in a show, okay, and you called it the USA Championships, you'd be like, whoa, this is a freaking great lineup.
Yeah,
it's easier to turn pro. Look, I'm not in favor of it, but I'm saying it's easier to turn pro, and because they turn so many people pro, they lose the talent pool at the very, very top.
I also
and that's what I'm saying. They shouldn't turn pro because not one of them could stand on a pro stage and do any good in a month's time like they used to be able to do.
Wait, you know why they did it? I'll tell you why they did it. Because they were giving 400 pro cards out in bikini and men's physique. You can't do that and then give the bodybuilders one pro card. You just can't do it.
Because the bodybuilders aren't ready. They're not ready to be a pro.
But Lee, no one will compete in bodybuilding if you only give
one
pro card.
Only the good, really good ones will compete like they used to.
No,
I disagree, Dave, because people say if there's no 212, people won't compete. You mean to tell me, Jose,
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
All those guys would still compete if there's no 212 to better themselves better so they get good enough to compete in the open and do well. Why don't we have a 180-pound class? We've got a 212. You know, it's got poor guys 180. They can't do the 212. Let's make a 190 class. Let's just keep the pros the same as the amateurs so everyone gets a fucking trophy.
They just made it too easy, and double compounded by the fact that we had a blip in genetics in the 90s that it's just a freak of nature that we happened. But
when you have 1,000 people,
I agree with you what you're saying about the talent. I totally get it. The talent pool gets diluted because of all.
No, but I'm saying there's also 1,000 people competing at nationals now, whereas in the past there was 200.
But to Lee's point is that you should be able to pick weed the really, really good ones out of that mess. So when you put a lineup like that out, I'm not seeing one guy that could rises to the level of the USA's and champions that we had back in the day. Not one. And I don't see him spaced out anywhere else either that you could accumulate them and make one great lineup. The physiques are not as good.
No, that's not as good.
They're just not as good.
Think about it. Last 5 years, Nick Walker, Justin Shire just won that pro show. He turned pro a year and a half ago. There's a lot of guys that have grown into their bodies over the last couple of years since they've turned pro, and they're really good pros.
They're both young too.
Yeah, they're very
young. Show us the heavyweight lineup, Dave. Let John.
All right, hold on.
I just remember, Lee, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When those lineups used to come out back then, everybody was rock hard, crisp.
Well, like remember, you'd have people like Dave even and Edgar Fletcher who couldn't turn pro because of the quality was that good.
Yep.
No, it was a different time.
This guy's got gyno. Fucking. I mean, this guy over here, second from the end, looks pretty lean. But
these guys have good structures. They're in shape. They're not as big as the guys were in the past. I'll admit that.
My grandfather's got good structure.
Lee, you can't even tell these guys are going to change. Their physiques will change so much in the next year. You want these guys to turn pro and be ready to compete as pros. I understand.
That's what they should do. That's what they should do.
I understand that, but that's not the business model anymore.
But you also had to do the universe back then too. You had to win that, and then you had to do the universe, and then you could turn pro.
Yeah, but that's why there was only 50 people competing.
That's the way it should be.
Well, that's not how the sport grows.
It's supposed to be it's supposed to be the best of the best. That's what it's supposed to be.
Well, that's why Lee and I had talked about. I suggested making an elite pro card, like a pro card that's over a pro card, like another level.
Just go back to the way they used to do it.
You can never go back. Can't go back. There's too many people. Can't go back.
You got to give them more trophies.
You got to give more. You got to have a higher status. You got to have a pro that's
I'm gonna go win my national sprinting with 16 seconds and go to the Olympics and just tell them, look, in 5 years I'll be down near the 10 mark. Just let me keep going.
Look at the guy in the end. I mean, come on. These are not pros. The guy
they're not. They're national. They're top 5 national level guys.
But the winner of that is going to go to the pros.
Right. And then so he might have to take a year or two off to put the size on. He needs to compete as a pro. What's wrong with that?
You shouldn't have to do that, though. You shouldn't have to do that. That means you're not good enough to go pro.
It's a different business model now. That's all.
That's a shit business model. And if I see one more person post, I know you did it too. What do you think of these new weight and height things for Classic? Who gives a fuck?
There's a debate there. I'll tell you why. Because, I said in my video that maybe they shouldn't even have a weight class anymore per height first Classic. In other words, if the judges have a standard that they like, small waist, Arnold said this too, small waist, big arms, vacuum pose, sweepy thighs, X frame. Why do you have to have a weight?
Well,
why
how
bodybuilding
used to be?
Yeah.
Well, how about why
bodybuilding used to be?
If that's the ideal, and it should be. Right. If that's the ideal, then why start placing it first? Start placing it fifth. If you have a row of shit physiques out there, none of them deserve first place. Start at fifth or fourth or eighth.
No, John, what we're talking about they raised the weight limits on some of the height classes in Classic physique.
Right.
So they figured out when they raised them the last time, they actually raised the height classes from 6'1" to 6'2". Extra 5 pounds over what the lower weight classes are. So now what they're doing is trying to even it out. So the guys that are shorter than 6'1", they're going to get a 7-pound bump, and the guys that are 6'1" to 6'2" get a 2-pound bump. And now everyone's on
2 pounds.
Well,
2 pounds.
they already would get, but they already had a 5-pound advantage over the shorter guys. So,
but this all could have been avoided. They wouldn't have even had to have Classic if the judges stuck to the guidelines. And back in the day, when people come in with bloated stomachs, when they made that rule, if you have a bloated stomach, you get marked down. They never did. They gave the bloated stomach first, so everyone else goes, well, fuck, we're going to get big and look like that. So they did. If they had to put the guy with the
Do you think?
Hold on, Dave. This is I'm raging.
Does Nick Walker have a bloated stomach?
No.
Is Nick Walker a Classic physique?
We don't need Classic. He's a bodybuilder, and
does he have a Classic physique? Does he have a small waist? Okay, so he's an open bodybuilder. He's a classic example of an open bodybuilder.
And Chris Bumstead could be open, and half those guys could be open
if he wants to. But
bodybuilding
it's another option. Maybe some guys don't want to get that big. Maybe they want to just have
well, can they start a class physique for me? I'm missing half a chest and an arm. I want a fucking class 2 then. Can they give me one?
You could go in the freak class. I told you, Chris and I suggested I think they should start, if they're going to have wellness, which is basically big asses, right? Why can't they have the freak class in bodybuilding? It doesn't matter what your symmetry is. You just have to be big, hard, and freaky. Man, if you want to pump shit in your arms, you can do it. If you want to have tattoos, it doesn't matter. The crazier you are, the fucking better. That would be the most popular class in all bodybuilding. Right?
The rich piano class.
The rich piano, class. It would be. It would be.
I think the premise that you have to start awarding placings at first is wrong, because if you have an ideal that is supposed to be adhered to, and nobody shows up exemplifying that ideal, they don't deserve to place first just because that's what showed up. That's wrong.
I got to try find it, John. You would have loved it, because there was an organization here. Let's just say there's
money, John.
Let's just say there's 2 people in the class. We had an organization here where, let's just say 2 people showed up and you're not really in good shape. The guy that run it would give the people second and third.
Good.
And they're like, why not first? He goes, because if somebody here was in shape, you wouldn't have won. You're not good enough to win. So you get second and third.
Exactly. That would solve so many problems if they did that.
If they're one person, how'd you do in the show? I got second. Who beat you? Nobody.
Nobody in first place showed up. Yeah, nobody that good showed up. And it doesn't have to be first. You can start at 5th. I mean, if they did.
And here's another thing, John, you might agree with.
Here's
another thing. You know what the pro caliber.
Look at it this way. Let's say you have XYZ pro show. Doesn't matter, pro show. And you know who shows up? None of the pro bodybuilders make it. So the bus crashed or something. They couldn't make it. No bodybuilder. All of a sudden, you get Boy Scouts. They're the whole lineup. Now you got a winner of a pro show is a Boy Scout because that's all that showed up. You can't do that. I think you need an ideal, and you need people striving to meet that ideal. And if the goal is not met, you shouldn't just get a trophy because you tried. You should get a fucking mark down because you failed. And maybe next time you'll come back and you'll do better because the possibility of failing has been proven. You did fail. Maybe next time you can win if you fucking work harder.
Well, when I had the Lee Priest Classic here in Australia with NABBA, the winner could get a pro card, but I stipulated if you're going to represent Australia at the NABBA Universe in the pros, you have to look like a pro. So you might win the overall at the Lee Priest Classic, but if I don't think you're up to pro qualify, if you're not like pro level to represent us, you don't get the pro card. And that's how it should be in America. You can win the USAs and be the overall winner, but if you're not pro standard, we're not giving you that pro card. Could you imagine me if a guy, because one time a guy did turn up at my show and he won, he was lean and that, but you think, okay, he's lean, he looks good. Now put him on a pro stage at NABBA, he'd be a laughing stock like, this is the best Australia's got. So he didn't get a pro card. You have the opportunity to get one if you're up to that standard. If not, you don't get it.
Good. I agree with that 1,000%. You shouldn't get a trophy just for showing up.
Why not?
Why not?
If there's only 5 people in the lineup and this top 5 get trophies, why can't you give the person the fact that you showed up shows that you have commitment to what you're doing?
No, the fact that you showed up at it. The fact that you the fact that you showed up unprepared means you're not serious.
All right, let's listen to what Lee said. Let's take the USA for this past weekend. Okay, if Lee was judging the show and the guy who won would still win because he was the best guy there, but Lee would say he's not worthy of a pro card. So you would actually not give a pro card to. You think that the judges should have the ability to give pro cards or not give pro cards?
Yes, because then he'll go back and train harder. Then next year he could come back 15 pounds
or
bigger.
Maybe he's going to say, well, that guy has it in for me because, he doesn't like me. That's why I give me a pro.
That happens anyway. That happens anyway. You should be able to vacate first place. If nobody shows up, because it's a strategy. People do that. They go, I'm going to do this show. Yeah. We'll show up, and I can show up in shitty shape, and I can cruise through and go to the next show. And so you eliminate that strategy. If whoever shows up does not fit the ideal, is not worthy of first place, you don't give out first place. You start at second or third or wherever. You just don't do it, because if you do, all you're doing is diluting the talent field with a bunch of mediocre people. And you don't want that. You want the best of the best to be the best of the best, not squeak through because you showed up.
Yeah, Dave. Duh.
That whole concept of participation trophies and all of that is just, it's so insane. The number of pro cards that they give out is fucking nuts. It just doesn't have any intrinsic value. Like, well, it has minimal intrinsic value compared to what it used to have.
I got to ask Dave too. I was watching the show of yours all on the after hours, and I haven't even heard one peep of it here. But you said a trans won a golf thing here in Australia, and there's been no word of it on the news here.
What happened?
They blocked it out. It's true.
Wait.
Because I went through the news things in Australia, haven't been able to find anything about the trans winning the women's golf in Australia.
Oh, golf. Yeah. It's not in the news there?
So they blocked it out?
No.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I don't know. If a trans man is, or a trans man's now a woman and she's playing golf, does she still wash her own balls?
No, she puts them in the ball washing machine. Pumps it.
Yeah, I gotta find this. Yeah,
right here.
I thought it would have been all over the news here, but I haven't heard.
They probably blocked it on you. You know how they are in Australia. You guys have the most corrupt system of all.
Yeah, but stuff like that, the way they're pushing the agenda, I thought it would have been everywhere.
No way. Because I think they're embarrassed by it. That's why I think.
And what did he rank as a man when he played golf? Bad.
98th out of 100.
Yeah, probably. Probably. I don't get. Look, what do you guys think about? I'll ask John because John is really the biker guy in the group here. Although I'm sure Lee has ridden a bicycle. What do you think about these electric?
I look the biker guy here, but John's the real.
No. I'm not talking about motorcycles. What do you think think about these electric bicycles they have out there? I see a lot of people riding them around here in Florida now.
You know,
are they any good?
Some of them are very good, and some of them are extremely expensive too. You can throw 10 grand away.
17,000.
This is 13. This is $1,400. This bike, right?
Well, you can throw 10 grand away on one of those.
Here in Australia, there's a bike shop down the road from me. I went in the other day just to look at them. I think the cheapest was like 12. They went up to almost 19,000 for an electric bike, and I'm standing there going, I said, wheels, a chain. I could buy a proper motorbike. I could buy a car with more pieces than a push bike with a little battery, and it's 19.
What's the attraction to these things? Why do people buy them?
So fat people can pretend they're exercising by sitting on it.
Well, they come in various versions. There's one that just gives you an assist. You can't even see the motor. It's built into the frame. It's tiny.
It does look pretty cool.
It looks pretty cool. And it gives you like an assist to go up hills and whatnot.
I see.
But there's other ones that are just pure electric because people are fucking lazy. That's why.
Do you have shared walkways in America? Like around Newcastle to beach, it says shared walkway for walkers and bikes. And these motherfuckers on the electric ones, they come past that fast. Like an old person, if you can't hear and you just were talking to your friend and stepped to the side, you get cleaned up. I'm like, I came out of a store yesterday and a guy was on one of those. Have you seen them where you stand on each side? It's just one wheel. And they go
yeah. They're called one.
This guy was doing at least 30 kilometers on the sidewalk. Like,
wow.
Thinking, Lee,
you remember in Venice the bike path as used to weave through the sand, right? You know how many fucking morons would get hit by bicycles because they would just walk across that thing and not. And you got bikes. I was an avid biker back then. I would ride I would be going at least 30 miles an hour. What a good thing with the walking backwards across the beach, talking to their friends, just walks right across the bike path.
Well, the good thing with Venice Beach, if you're smart, it's actually got the bikeway here, then it says the walkway here, so you don't combine. Here in Australia, the walkway and the bike is combined. It's like, but the thing is, they don't slow down. Like if there's a group of people, I'm on my bike, I'll slow down just in case to go around them, in case they don't hear me. Here they just go ding, 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 and keep coming. Get out the way. Get out the way.
I would always come up on them and say on your left or on your right, and get around so they know.
But this day too, everyone's got these bloody earpods
That's
in.
True too.
People are ringing their bells and people are still. This is a good iron rage today. I feel like I'm venting, getting stuff.
You are venting a lot today.
Might have been my shot at Sus 250 I took on Monday. It's kicking in. I'm getting all roid rage.
I was at the gym and I was thinking about you, John, because there's a guy who works at the gym, super nice guy. He was about 3 years ago. He was riding his motorcycle. He got hit by a fire truck.
Wow!
Completely ripped his leg off. Okay, and he was awake. You know how most people, when the pain comes, you just pass out. He was awake for the entire thing. He said his leg was hanging by a thread, and thank God the firemen, were there who hit him, obviously, because then they stabilized him. I think he needed like 20 units of blood or something like that. He was bleeding out like crazy. Wow. And the guy drives, he does everything. He's got one leg now. And you know what the sad part about is? He sued the city of Cape Coral, but they have some sort of special thing that you could only get up to $200,000 in lawsuits against the city because they didn't want to risk having the city be bankrupted by anyone. So this poor kid is only going to get like 60 grand, maybe max at the end of the day, which won't even cover prosthetic legs, Wow.
So you get hit by a fire truck, you lose a leg, you get $200,000. If I speed away from a cop, don't listen to him, the cop pulls me out the car and hits me, I get a couple of million. Go figure.
Yeah. And the sad part about the whole thing is that bikes are very dangerous. I know you love riding those motorcycles, John, but you got to be very careful.
Bikes are dangerous. Idiot drivers that don't look are fucking dangerous.
Well, that's who you have to look out for. The dangerous
machine
drivers
guns are dangerous too. When you pull the trigger. But look. You can't just sit home. I mean,
No, I know, but I'm saying, I tell these bodybuilders that you're not competing, so it doesn't matter. But I tell the bodybuilders who are competing, you cannot ride a motorcycle. It's too dangerous, especially when you're contest dieting and you're not fully cognizant of what's going on.
I had a good friend. He probably would have won the Australia back in the early 90s. His name was Craig, almost like a Bob Paris type looking thing. But he'd like to ride his push bike for exercise. Riding to the gym one morning, car collects him up before the contest, broken leg, broken arm. I was like, because you don't think about it, you think you're just doing cardio. But like I said, it's these idiots that don't look out for you. But like you said, if I'm a couple of weeks out from a show, but then again, too, you could probably get in a car accident. But just try and make your chances of shit happening a bit less as you get closer to a show.
How often did you drive to the gym, Lee, while you were dieting, and you don't even remember how you got there? You can't even remember the trip.
From my house to the World Gym, I'm like, was that like red or green? I can't even like, you can't even remember. It's like you're on autopilot.
You don't even know how you got home. It's like, how did I get home?
You know what I used to think back in the old days when we had the European tours, and there'd be like Kevin, Ronnie, me, NASA, like 10 of the greatest pros on Aeroflot Russia somewhere. I'm thinking, if this goes down, 10 of the top pros are fucking gone in one plane.
Sean Ray would have been like, I'll be Mr. Olympia now.
Right.
We'll be back to pro shows like we have now.
Sean Ray would be Mr. Olympia if that plane went down, Lee.
Yeah, true.
He never went on the European tour, ever,
Yeah. Again, about that, I asked this last.
I will bet you, if you could climb inside of his head, he didn't do any of those tours for that reason.
Probably. You're probably right. He probably figured if everyone goes down, I'll be available to take over the Olympia.
Yep.
I asked this the other couple of weeks ago, but I said I'm actually worried about Sean because I haven't seen nothing from him online or anywhere. I know he's blocked me on Instagram, but I haven't seen any videos on YouTube unless he blocked me there. But has anyone heard a peep out of Sean for the last whatever?
I think they got a gag order on him.
I haven't heard a word out of him.
Which is kind of hard to do for Sean, but Jake Wood probably told him, if you can't keep your mouth shut, you can't work for me. I'm sure that's the deal.
But they're paying him to not keep his mouth shut. He's supposed to be.
I haven't seen him on anything. Oh, you know where I'm going. You know where I'm going next week to have a good discussion. Oh, it's going to be great. They invited me on the Olympia TV, but with Linda Murray and the women to discuss like how they judge women. I'm going on.
Oh boy!
I just interviewed Linda Murray.
Yeah, Linda, and there's I forget the other girl, the blonde girl. She's won the other Olympia a few times on that show. So they said, Lee, you'd be a great guest for this topic. I said, can I talk about that pose from the rear where they showed their vagina and ass? She's like, oh, perfect. You'll be on. I said, well, might be your last show, but it'll be a good one.
That's funny. Yeah, the vagina pose. They should just call it the vagina pose.
I call it the bike rack, the bike parking.
It's true, but every girl I spoke to, even I speak to them, they're like, we don't like doing it. I'm like, then don't do it. Why don't you girls get together? You can show your hamstrings and glutes other ways and standing with your legs up. And I've had arguments on Instagram because I put up stuff saying nice beaver. I get attacked because other guys are like, nice calves and hamstrings. I said, any hot-blooded male ain't looking to wonder how you train your fucking hamstrings when he sees that bike rack, like John said. We're thinking one thing when we see that, married or not.
What would happen, John, if like one of these girls like can master the movement of the vaginal lips, like and actually, you know how like guys flex their abs or tweak their glutes on stage. What?
Or you can make your
make the lips like
whatever. Yeah, it starts like moving around over there.
You know how guys will always go like this when you want them to fucking well they'll just
like
clap their vagina lips.
They can do like a ventriloquist act. Yeah.
They'll go like this.
I saw a movie about that once called Teeth. This girl had teeth in her vagina. It was eating penises and fingers that you ever saw it? It's called Teeth.
like the plant on that show. What was it?
Look it up, Dave. Show. Look up Teeth.
Little Shop of Horrors. I don't want to be rude.
I'll show you. It's just a girl laying in a bathtub on the cover of the movie, but yet that's what it's about. For some reason, she's got teeth down there, and when guys sleep with it, they're like, and all of a sudden blood's going everywhere. It's actually a good movie, even though it sounds silly. It's actually not a bad movie. It's called Teeth.
I found it. Hold on.
Read the synopsis, what it's about.
Hold on, hold on.
Highly recommend it. Highly recommend.
Only you would know about this movie, Lee. That's the funny thing. It's like
Come
it's
on,
like that
everyone's
movie.
seen it.
Remember that? What was the movie? The Centipede. Remember that
Oh
movie?
yeah, Centipede, where they
Oh, yeah.
sewed the people together.
Part 1,
Still
2,
a
and 3.
stranger to her own body, a high school student discovers she has a physical advantage when she becomes the object of male violence. Oh, so she gets
Yes.
back at all the men? Is that what she does?
Yeah.
She
That's
eats
the
their
whole
penises?
synopsis.
Yeah,
What
teeth.
a
You're right.
vagina. Mm. I want everyone to watch it as their homework.
It got it got almost 3 stars. It's got 2.5 stars. Yeah.
Look, you don't go by ratings. Arnold's movies got shit stars. Look, good movies. Look, it's not going to be Academy Award winner for sure because there's no gays, black, trans, and that in it. But it's just a good show.
Thank you, Lee, for turning us on. I'll have to rent that movie tonight.
Speaking of good movies, Dave, have
You, your wife, and the kids all get around to watch it tonight.
Dave, have you taken your daughters to see the Barbie movie yet?
No, we haven't done that yet. I'm almost like in protest of the whole thing because too many people going to see it. It's like,
what? No, it's a huge feminist political piece. It's
Right.
like another one of those attempts to sully the minds of our children. It's unbelievable.
I bought.
And they're trying to compare it. They're trying to compare Barbie to a great movie. You listen to them. This is as good as Oppenheimer. I'm like, what? What?
Did you see Oppenheimer? Lee?
Not yet, but I hear it's doing great. Everyone that's seen it reckons it's a
I
great
do want to
movie.
see. I do want to see that movie.
I heard it was a fantastic film. It's fucking 3 hours long. I don't know where
it'll definitely be an Academy Award winner. You know it's going to be. They
but where do you find 3 hours? No.
You got to wait till it comes on iTunes, and you can just watch it in segments.
I got to watch it at home in pieces. There's no way I can sit through 3 hours.
John might know. This is like not a political question, but when we see Russia now bomb Ukraine, they're like, "Oh, that's a war crime, Putin." Why was never America had a war crime when they dropped an atomic bomb on a major city and killed hundreds of thousands of innocent people?
I think it may have been because it was before the Geneva Convention. I don't know, but that may have been it. Because
probably after they did that, they said, "Fuck, we better get out of here and make some convention so we can't get trouble."
I'm very hungry. I think I'm going to go get the Zuck at McDonald's.
Yeah, the Zuck.
I'm going to go get the Elon Musk.
I'm going to get the
donuts.
The donuts.
I'm going to get the
donuts. 20 nuggets, a quarter pounder, large fry, Oreo McFlurry.
Yeah.
I can't eat the Oreo McFlurry because I'm lactose intolerant. I can't do that.
We've got a new McFlurry here. It's the hot apple pie, but it's a raspberry pie with custard in the McFlurry.
Ooh, that's
probably it's probably $30, John, in Australia. How much is it?
You can't put a price on happiness. You can't put a price on
That's why Happy Meals should have been free.
How much is it? How much is it, Lee?
It's probably be. I'll go today and get one. I'll let you know. Because look, I could sit here with chicken breast and be like, put the McFlurry. This is good. I think I'm going to come. Oh, this is so good.
It's like crack for your brain. That's why. That's exactly what it is. All right, I got to wrap up. I've been doing too much TV today. Thank you, Lee, for your political
top-notch show today.
Yeah, you were really raging today. So this was Iron Rage. Lee was politically raging like crazy. And for those people who have contacted me and told me Lee shouldn't be commenting on American politics, screw you guys, because Lee is an American citizen.
That is right. He is every right. He is as much right as you do.
I care more about America than some bloody Americans do. That's the
I know you
thing.
do.
And then they say, this is the thing I hate about Americans too. A lot of them say, why should other people care about our politics? Because sadly, your politics involves sometimes Australia and other things, and we're fucking joined. If you just go to war, guess who gets dragged into it? We come with you, and all this sort of shit. So.
Exactly.
And if you guys are going on a new date tonight with maybe a new girl you never met, watch out for the teeth.
Yep. The teeth.
And on that wise note, we're going to wrap up today. I'm Dave Palumbo with John Romano, Lee Priest for another edition of Iron Rage.